Hi, and welcome back to another one of my YouTube videos. This time it's Gear Secrets, and the gear secret in question is my 1988 Charvel Model 1C. That is a very, very cool guitar. They're a little bit rarer than the Model 1s. You can see all over the internet. The difference being mainly that this has got 2 extra single coils. This guitar was built in 1988 and 1989. This is a model from 1988, if I dated correctly. Actually, it features the pointy headstock, then popular with Charvel at that time. It's made in Japan. Maple fretboard, maple neck, basswood body, humbucker single coil, and lo and behold, traditional tremolo, no, not a Floyd Rose, like on the other Charvels of that era. Why is it a gear secret? Well, it has been a gear secret to me, actually, because I bought it very cheaply in 2007 for like 160 euros, very, very cheaply, as a backup guitar for my other Charvel. But after a few years, I discovered that this is a great guitar. I took it out of the closet and played it, and I said, wow, it's got really, really cool sounds, especially for heavy metal. This is a heavy metal guitar, really. I use it for downtune stuff. I currently keep it in C-sharp standard, which is the heaviest of all tunings. I've also played it in D standard, and it really, really does chugga, chugga, chugga riffs perfectly. I'm going to talk a little bit about the features of this guitar, what makes it so great, maybe you'll like it after the video. One thing very, very cool about this guitar is that it's got a compound radius neck. Well, what is compound radius neck? A compound radius neck is, a neck which starts with a small radius and then increases the radius up to the last fret. Why do people do that? Well, how does the radius determine the shape of the neck? Well, the radius is the radius of the circle the fretboard would be part of if you cut it in these positions and take a look like this. In mathematics, a curvature is 1 over radius. So if you have a very small radius, you've got big curvature, so your neck will be like this, yeah? And if you've got a very high radius, your neck will be very flat. Well, of course, there come advantages and disadvantages. Small neck radiuses make it easier to do bar chords on the lower registers, but they make it harder to do big bends and make fast playing in the higher registers harder. Higher radiuses, on the other hand, make it very, very easy to bend because you can like pull the string without hitting other frets or something like that. You can play faster in the higher registers very effortlessly, but you have to be very careful when voicing barcodes in the lower registers that they don't go out of tune. The people at Charvel addressed this by giving this guitar a compound radius. It starts with a 12-inch radius, which is Gibson Les Paul style, and it is increased until you have a 16-inch radius here at the dusty end of the fretboard. Actually, this is a very cool idea, and it plays very well. As you might have seen, legato licks come pretty effortlessly on this type of guitar, and it's got very low action at this end of the fretboard, which is also a result of a compound radius guitar. So this is a very cool feature. You have to pay a lot of money to get it on other guitars. A very cool feature of that guitar are its electronics, actually. It has got a humbucker and 2 single coils, and the humbucker is the Jackson J90C, C for ceramic. It's a ceramic magnet humbucker, giving much higher output than a traditional humbucker would, which was very sensible in the late 80s, because then the amps didn't have that insane amount of gain today's amps have, and they had to push them. People used little boost pedals to push their amps. Some people even raised the pickup height, but that made your tone darker. And one way to get more distortion out of the amp was to, well, build pickups with higher output. And ceramic pickups were one technology which was introduced in the market, which you could do that very well. You have a snappy, bitey tone with lots of output, giving you lots of distortion. Giving you fat humbucking sounds if you play riffing. One problem which arose with these high pickup high output pickups was that when you switch to single coil, you would have a dramatic volume drop, because traditional single coils will only have a low output volume. Actually, they addressed this issue with these Jackson J100. They're called, not sure what the technology is, but you don't have it. They're very, very loud, especially for single coils. Giving you almost the same amount of distortion than the humbucker does, and yet having like, well, they're singing, they carry the tone, lots of sustain, which make it cool to play leads on them as well. Well, what are the weaknesses of this guitar? Every guitar comes with a weakness as well. Actually, high output pickups might not be perfect for clean playing. I can show you how this guitar sounds clean. I think it's still decent, but it's not vintage Fender tone. I've added loads of effects to it, actually, to make it 80s style. You do get that 80s clean from it, but you see it's very, very snappy. And if you go to the bridge pickup, you even have got more of that. I think it's still on the okay side, but clean sounds are not the strengths of this guitar. It's made for distorted sounds. You have to bear that in mind. It is, in fact, a heavy metal guitar. Another downside of this thing is the vibrato unit. It is from Goto, actually, but it doesn't stay in tune on my guitar. I have to retune the guitar every now and then. If I use the vibrato bar, it completely goes out of tune. So I normally play it like a fixed bridge guitar, and I only installed the lever today to make it look cooler. So actually, this is something which is not perfect on this guitar. Yeah, but actually these are the only downsides. There are very few notable users of this guitar because it was placed in a price range which was somewhere between intermediate and professional guitar. They asked $550 for it when they put it on the market back in 1988, which is, if you take out inflation, about $1,400 today. You see that these instruments are somewhat below really high-end guitars, but somewhat above, well, intermediate guitars. Actually, Jeff Loomis of Arch Enemy got one as his first real guitar. So these were guitars you would get if you were finished with learning the basics and wanted to get a better instrument to take the next level in your guitar playing. Actually, these go used for 400 to 500 euros, which is a little bit less in dollars. But if you get $450 for it, you get a normal deal on these. It's still not expensive for what you get. This guitar is really bang for the buck. Compound radius, very, very cleverly done electronics. If you are looking for a heavy metal guitar and you're not like a heavy metal player throughout like me, I only, well, sometimes do a little bit of riffing and maybe a little bit of shredding, and I really enjoy it, but then I'm back to my music, which isn't metal. These are actually very good guitars for you to have because they can handle metal extremely well, as you have heard, and they play extremely well. They really got a flat action like, well, only a few other guitars in my collection have because of the compound radius, which is a killer feature. And at that price point, actually, you cannot go wrong. Actually, this one is built like a tank. I played in a metal band for a few years, friends of mine, very cool people from Illusoria, and we went on tour, and I took that guitar on tour, and, well, it never failed me. Yeah, I had to tune it like every 2 songs because vibrato unit not perfect and everything, but that was all. Yeah, and it played like a dream. And actually, the frets are almost immaculate even at that age. I think they're stainless steel frets. I'm not very sure about that, but they're like last forever. And it does have a few scratches and dents and dings and dongs, but that's normal for a guitar at that age. And there has never been an issue with that one. It's perfectly reliable. So if you're looking for a metal guitar and you're not a 100% metal player, this might be your ace. Try to get one used. Yeah. That's all actually from me for today. Charvel Model 1C, very cool guitar. If you can get your hands on one, buy it if you get a good price. Well, if you've liked the video, maybe you want to subscribe my channel, maybe you want to drop me a like. I would be very grateful if you did so. And in the meantime, have fun playing guitar.